Greetings. There is rape and there's getting away with rape. Two different things. Rape, filming the rape and selling the videos, selling the victim services to rich clients, filming the rich clients and then blackmailing them later. Right? Raping, filming, selling the victims many times over many years. That's the crime. But that's only half the story. Crime, getting away with crime. How do they get away with all this? By absolutely confusing the victims, confusing the cops, and confusing the public. Okay, that is what all these satanic rituals are all about. Getting away with ongoing, very profitable rape. So please keep that in mind as you watch this video of my direct eyewitness testimony of the unbelievable sexualized violence that myself and others endured. Please. Okay, so this next ritual I'm going to tell you about was with 6 children, several adults, and this was in the 3rd grade. And then there were 6 of us kids again. I think they were the same 6. We were blindfolded by 4 priests who had the same rock monster masks on their heads and devil bird masks on their groins. We were all terrified. We could actually feel each other's terror, believe it or not. That's hard to explain. Now, the other 5 had obviously been raped individually in the same way I had been, because we all seemed to recognize the monsters as they blindfolded us. We were told that we had disobeyed God and committed so many mortal sins over the summer that God will never be able to forgive us now. So it was time to go to hell forever and ever. So we were all thrown into a small closet, the same closet where nobody lived. And they told us, don't make a sound. So we were still blindfolded, all whimpering, shaking, terrified. It was very tight in there and we could not move. They may have bound our arms also with the same black material they used to blindfold us. There was an animal in the closet with us, which must have been bound, immobilized, and in agony. It must have been on a shelf a foot or so above our heads, because we could hear the absolutely horrific animal agony sounds coming from above us, yet very close. I don't remember any blood dripping down, so the animal was probably inside a baking pan or something like that. To me, at that time, it was nobody inside the closet with us, torturing an animal, and we were in hell below him. Maybe I would be next. Imagine being a small child, having claustrophobia in hell, waiting to be tortured forever and ever, and hearing the torture going on just above your head. They left us in there for a very long time. It seemed like days, it seemed like forever, probably only 15 minutes, who knows. We thought we were in hell forever. We knew we were in hell forever. Inside that closet, in total darkness, hearing gurgling torture agony sounds above our heads, knowing that nobody was in there with us. The drugs they gave us started taking effect, and our minds began creating the hell we knew we were in. There are no words to describe even closely the depth of suffering we endured while we were trapped inside hell forever. The spiral into fear as time passed was torture literally for our minds. As the minutes passed, seeming like hours, we began sharing the most horrific hallucinations, emotions, and so on, and our fear and suffering continued to reinforce itself in a kind of a vicious circle. It's like the more fear we felt, the further we went into hell, and the further we went into hell, the more fear we felt, and so on. It's impossible to describe any of this with words. So finally, the door opened, another boy and girl were pulled out, and the door was shut again. But now we could hear sounds outside of those 2 being raped and so on. We didn't see, but we knew what was going on. It was actually comforting in some horrific fashion. For a short while anyway. Then hell crept back into the closet and we could not keep it away. What seemed like hours went by and the four of us ended up soiling ourselves so the closet smelled similar to the animals we had sacrificed before. Eventually we all got sick in there also. The animal above us must have died in the meantime because it was no longer making sounds. After forever, they brought me and a girl out of the closet. By then, we had both been drifting in and out of consciousness and were both very lethargic. They woke us up by taking off the blindfolds and screaming in our faces very intensely that we were disgusting, filthy pigs and so on. They stripped our clothes off and then smashed our faces into the feces and urine in the clothes, smearing it all over our faces and so on. We were crying and shaking and begging them to stop. We both threw up, so two of them grabbed the back of our necks, pushed us to the floor and rubbed our faces back and forth through the vomit against the floor, then left us laying there naked, covered in filth. In the meantime, the other two ejaculated all over us. Then we were cleaned off and packets of water were dumped on us over and over again. Then they grabbed us and threw us on a mat. They picked the girl up by her hair and threw her on top of me so that her face was against my penis. Both of us were shaking and whimpering and they screamed at us to shut up. My member was put in her mouth and she was forced to have oral sex with me while the man over the top of her watched closely and gave her instructions. I'm assuming they were filming this. I don't remember that. I remember feeling overwhelmingly ashamed, embarrassed, and guilty. And feeling so sorry for her. And I felt like I loved her and she was like an angel, but then I hated her because I knew I would be punished for loving her and so on. The priest watching me told me to put my mouth on her C-U-blank-T and slice my tongue in and out of her. That's what he said, slice your tongue in and out. I did what I was told, but he said I wasn't doing it fast enough. He punched me on the side of my head so hard it made a loud crack. I tried not to cry and wondered if my skull was smashed in, but then I started doing it real fast so I wouldn't get hurt again. As he watched up close, he was breathing hard and saying things like, yes, faster, that's good, and so on. Running out of breath. After a couple minutes, two other monsters stood above us, urinated all over us, then masturbated and ejaculated all over us. Throughout those few minutes, which seemed like forever, they purposely exaggerated and sort of caricaturized their grunts and moans and other sex sounds, sounding like the animals, reminiscent of the animals being cut open. The sex sounds were disgusting and horrifying to us. They were the sounds of torture and hell. Now, possibly animals were being tortured nearby, I'm not sure, but I remember them making those sounds. So after all the sex was over, sex in quotes, we were screamed at that we were going to burn in hell forever and ever unless we begged forgiveness from Almighty God and sacrificed another animal to him. We were snatched up by our hair and shoved toward two tables, each with a baby goat, a kid, tied helpless on it, belly up. We were each handed a knife and told to cut it open. We did as we were told. The animals made horrible sounds. We suffered the overwhelming guilt, self-hatred, horror, etc. as we did it. Our faces were shoved into the guts. We were both ordered to chew and swallow. We both got sick and passed out. We were both punished for it. Then we were crying and they gave us a paper cup with some juice. That was the end of that ritual as far as I remember. Okay, I'm ready. So now the next big ritual, which took place at the beginning of the 4th grade, was so similar to the one I just described that there's no point in repeating it. It is apparent to me now that we were raped in a single elaborate ritual at the beginning of each school year to get us back under their control and then raped individually throughout the year, usually in a bathroom, having been programmed, in quotes, to robotically obey during that beginning ritual.